Hello, everyone, and welcome to yet another episode of Watches and Whiskey.
Speaking of, why isn't my whiskey not poured?
Well, I got a story.
All right.
So I had a fan, now a friend, that stopped by my office, 4 days ago. A gentleman by the name of Mark, and he dropped off a bottle of Abalur. And this is the Buna Alba. Or Abuna Alba.
Say that 10 times fast.
Abuna Alba. Don't challenge me, bro. I can talk fast. You know me.
Again.
Abuna Alba.
Why don't you kettle rattle that whiskey off?
Hey, now Abuna Alba. No. Anyway, so now he knows that I'm a bourbon guy, but I'm also a Scotch guy. So let's give this thing a shot. Now, according to our in-depth research, it's a single malt Scotch from the Speyside region of Scotland. What's interesting is this is as close to cask strength as you can get without actually drinking it from the cask. Now, last episode we had some cask strength stuff.
So basically, we're going to be here a little bit more sober than last time.
Bro, I was zooted last time around. I can't see that. What's the proof on this?
I'll take this from here.
Yeah, what's the proof?
The proof is 117.4 proof.
We're going to be zooted. Anyway, let's pour some of this and let's move on. Now, the little tail broke off. Did you hear what that happens? I'm gonna need a knife now. So while we wait for a knife, let's talk about what we bought this week. And I gotta tell you guys, this has been a very special week. I gotta hand it to Adrian, although the one watch I ended up closing today probably top all of them. But Adrian's bought some expensive ass watches this week, starting with
little bank breakers.
Starting with which one was
called Patek Phoenix. Reference 5720. It literally has a phoenix on the dial. It's an all iced out Nautilus in white gold.
How many did they make?
Who knows? Only Patek knows.
Rumor has it that they only made 5 of those. Some say 3 of those. I know they didn't make very many. There were variations.
I've only seen one.
Well, we had the Dragon before.
No. So this one I bought in 2018, sold it to the client, bought it back. So I've only seen one. We had this watch twice, and it was the same.
But
one.
we also had the Dragon in Hong Kong, if you remember. Not the Phoenix, but the one with the Dragon.
The Phoenix.
I had a client for the Dragon one for the last year and a half, and I couldn't find it. You know what? Can I ask you to open this for me? It'd be great. While we talk about this, can we talk about price on it, or
we'll just say 550 plus.
Okay, we'll just call it. This was a $500,000 plus us. What else? Big boys.
Bought. This is actually really funny. We don't have it here to show, but I'm sure Ian can put it up on screen. It's called a RM37 Silesi. So it's like a NTPT carbon RM37 with candy on it. For a ridiculous amount of money.
We call them the Candy Crush collection. This is, if you remember, almost 2 years ago they came out with this collection. Everybody was laughing and they said this stuff was butt ugly. What is all this? They had licorice on the thing. It literally looked like a game of Candy Crush.
It has like gummies on it.
And gummies and all kinds of stuff. And believe it or not, that watch is in around that $400,000 realm. That watch is currently in Hong Kong because that's where the client is. It won't be coming in here, hopefully. Yeah. And we got our bottle. Let's give this Abuna Alba a shot.
Cheers.
A shot. Try.
Cheers, everybody. I now drink things differently since the last episode.
No, since Misha was on here.
Sniff. Butterscotch.
But the look on your face, it goes down strong.
What the hell is this stuff?
Gasoline.
This
is good.
This is good.
Real good.
This is real. Mark, thank you very much for this bottle. We're not going to enjoy all of it because I don't think we'll get through the episode. But going back to what we bought, so the Candy Crush collection, as we like to call it.
I don't know why you call it Candy Crush.
Because it looks like Candy Crush. Did you not play Candy Crush when it came out?
No.
Everybody played Candy.
I did not play Candy Crush. My wife does, though.
I did. I got up to level 484, spent about $5,000 on buying the power-ups and all that stuff. And I said, no, this isn't for me. I'd rather go to the casino, I guess. But long story short, that's a very surprising thing because, look, when they all came out, pretty much every dealer was on the same notion saying, oh my God, these things are so ugly, who the hell is going to buy them? They're impossible to find. This one is limited to 50 or 30?
To 30. I mean, this is the only one, actually one of maybe 2 that I've seen on the market.
Exactly. They got sold and I never got resold. And reason being is because, look, at the end of the day, ladies do not resell their watches like guys. When they get something, they hold on to it, and they'd rather buy another watch, and that's just it. Another couple of big boys that we kind of bought collectively, but I'll give you the credit on those, is the Grand Sonnerie. You guys...
Super Sonnerie.
I'm sorry. The Super Sonnerie from AP, the concept. I reviewed that watch on one of my What's on My Desk. I'm sure Ian can pop in a couple of clips. The technology behind that watch is absolutely amazing.
Unreal.
If you guys don't know the
Unfortunately, we don't have it here to show them, but
It's okay. The technology behind that, you guys know that I never really got too geeky on my What's on My Desk episodes, and the reason for that is because that's not what the show is about. It's more about market value, showing off kick-ass pieces. But once in a blue moon, I will go into details on a few watches, like Christophe Claret stuff that I did, along with some other things. This is the one episode you want to watch where I do get into the nuts and bolts of that watch, because it's probably the most amazing minute repeater or sonnerie out there. Period. I can't think of another one.
There's actually a lot of good videos on YouTube about it, how AP actually made it.
Yeah.
They actually put a really cool production about it. It's really...
And alongside that, we bought the helicopter.
Or otherwise known as the 25th anniversary Royal Oak Offshore Tourbillon. And we call it the helicopter because in the window it actually looks like a propeller.
Yeah. Again, another watch.
My absolute favorite Royal Oak Offshore Tourbillon ever made.
Would you call it your absolute favorite offshore?
I would say that, yes.
Okay, so that's another watch I did on What's on My Desk. You can pop in a clip. I do get into a little bit of nuts and bolts on that watch. The market has gone berserk. On both. Grand Sonnerie.
I think they made 25 pieces in total. I think in both rose and stainless steel.
No, I think it was 25 each. And that's actually...
each.
Yeah, that's exactly it. A lot of people think that it's 25 made or 50 made. It's a little confusing. It's 25 of each is what they did. With... market prices, even when I did the videos, I don't remember what the market price was when I did the actual videos, but they're both up at least 35%, would you say?
No, I would say no. I say when they first came, they're up a little bit from when they first came out, but...
What do you mean? The helicopter, we sold the rose gold helicopter for...
$425.
$425. And right now they're hovering around the $5.25 price, so it is 30%. The Grand Sonnerie, they came out, they were high, then they kind of dropped back down.
That's actually a good way to put it, actually.
They came down, they dropped back down. You could buy a Grand Sonnerie for around $300. Could you not? Today they're $400. So it's 25 to 30% across the board. Really kick-ass watches. What else?
Few RM11 and titaniums.
That doesn't really count. That seems like normal stuff.
No, yeah. Normal.
How about what you're wearing?
It's the Lang Datograph Flyback in platinum reference 403035, 39 millimeters. Manual wine. I just think it's absolute killer.
It's a watch that's already discontinued. They now make it in a 42 millimeter, which it's actually very hard to tell those apart. Sometimes we get offered these watches because they look exactly the same. This one is bigger and this one is smaller. You actually have to ask, is it a 403 reference or 405 reference? And the difference is the size, obviously. You guys have seen this post on our Instagram. We want to buy Langes and stuff like that. We're not trying to create a market. We're not trying to create a huge hype about it. We're simply low on stock. And I've told you numerous times that my personal belief, and I think the watchmaking of Lang & Son is superb to that of Patek.
Yeah,
Do you agree?
I don't know if superb is the word, but it's definitely on par. I think that it's just a supremely undervalued brand across the board. So,
absolutely.
And we always have requests for them, and
listen, we've sold more Lang time zones and datagraphs and things of that nature that I can actually even count. It's just still, contrary to all belief, may not be in a big limelight, but nevertheless, they're still extremely popular. There's still a big demand for them. And again, to me, it's just a well-made... Show me the back of that watch.
As a matter of fact, my dad, with all the watches he had ever owned, the watch he was saddest to let go was the Lang time zone that he had in rose gold.
Let's show the back of this beast. Oh, look at that. Like, looking at the back of a Lange has got to be one of the most satisfying things for a watch nerd, which we all are, not to label anyone.
I'm not a watch nerd, but it is quite mesmerizing.
Here's an oldie but a goodie that I bought. I bought 3 of these in the last month. And that's the Audemars Piguet Carbon Grand Prix limited edition. They made it in rose, they made it in carbon, they made it in platinum.
We have some work to do to that watch. You know what that is?
What's that?
That's adding the ceramic bezel in there.
I don't know if I want to do that.
Oh,
so
absolutely.
AP offered, because the carbon bezel kept getting messed up when you hit it, AP did offer a service where for like $2,500 or something, they replaced and they put a carbon bezel on there.
Looks way better.
It may look better, but to me, like, I hate that. Like, it's like changing the original strap to something else. It's just, I don't know. I feel like this is how it came out, this is how it should be, and if the bezel gets banged up, then be it. That's just me.
Boo-hoo, Roman.
Right. Again, one of those deal watches, limited offshore, back in the day traded for 40 plus. Today they're around that $25,000 price range.
Yeah.
And it's always good because we actually had a client in the office today. He goes, I want a black AP. And me and Adrian are sitting there thinking,
we got the best one right there, pretty much.
So I showed him this. We showed him the end of days, and then we started scrambling. Outside of going to the carbon diver, outside of going to some of the newer, bigger offshores that are all black carbon or ceramic, there's not a whole lot of options out there. You know what I mean? If he wanted to stay under 30, right?
Well, it's funny. We went from black and then just pretty much went all colors of the rainbow. We went from black 44 to like camo, steel,
the blue, to
titanium.
The
all the way to
but
rose
he
gold.
did come in here and he said, "Listen, I want a black offshore. I don't want it to break the bank." And there's really nothing out there under $30,000 if you think about it, under $25,000.
It's really tough.
It's really, really tough. So this is one other reason why these things are kind of a good buy. What else, Adrian? I think that was it for you.
Just obviously the
Forget the Rolex.
everyday
Forget the
Rolexes.
I just bought a platinum Daytona with baguette bezel.
Did that go through?
With the baguette markers, yes, it did.
Cheers to that.
Yeah.
Yes.
And we bought two more platinum regular
platinum
Daytonas,
Daytonas.
which I mean they went up in price by the hour. It seems like in the last month. Wouldn't you say?
Actually, you know what I'm excited to get that I've actually haven't seen in a while in stock is the white gold Pepsi with the blue dial. I absolutely love that watch. You're just a hater on everything Pepsi. I feel like you killed the meteorite dial last week.
That's just an ugly watch.
You'll see the blue one is real nice.
Well, you guys saw on my Instagram the 3 rainbow Daytonas that came into Hong Kong. I don't think
4.
Well, I didn't show the 4th
Oh,
one.
okay.
But you did, I think, on your Instagram
Yes.
post. You showed the 4th one. That's not something that's going to make it here stateside. It's just probably going to end up staying over there because would you say that's the better market for it?
I would say Asia overall is probably a better market.
But and to us, when we say Asia, oftentimes we mix it in with Middle East because that Hong Kong tends to be the hub for Asian countries as well as Middle Eastern countries. So we kind of
Speaking of overseas countries, I'm surprised you didn't throw this one out there. That very, very special Patek that you seem to
I knew you were going to ask me that. So here's a watch that I can somewhat talk about. I can't show you a picture. I can't tell you exactly what it is because this is a very sensitive watch. The only thing I'll tell you is that I did buy a Patek that there are only 3 of in the world, and one of them is in the museum. It was an expensive purchase. This is that's a Patek that's in the realm of I'm going to say 2 to 3 million, just to keep it vague.
Subtle.
That is deposit is in. It's closed next week.
We don't like to count our chickens before they hatch. They say.
Well, we
So
bought
let's
it, but
make sure it's all good.
let's just say
cheers to that.
Let's just say there's a book written about that watch. Let's just leave it there. And if I get a chance to show it to you, I do have some private clients that do want to buy this watch. And depending on whether or not they want this kept private, I may or may not show the watch.
You know what I want?
No.
Another glass of whiskey. Scotch. It's very good.
Bon elbow.
Hold on.
Do you see what I'm doing here? Cast strength, bro.
Cast strength.
I mean, I think that by the time we tape episode number 40, we'll be drinking straight Everclear. I just have a strong feeling. All right, let's move on. So those were the buys. Q&As. We decided to start implementing some of the dedicated shows that I have, such as Q&A, such as What's on My Desk. We're trying to incorporate it all into a single episode like Watches and Whiskey, just to switch it up, make it a little bit more fun. So there's a couple of questions that the guys picked that we're going to talk about, and of course, the guys because they're put it in the smallest font possible, and I don't have my glasses.
He can't see without his glasses.
Here's one. I'm going to read out the questions here. Hi, my name is Alejandro. Alex, I am a surgeon and a big fan of you here in Spain. Excuse my English, which is far from perfect. Seems pretty good. What I actually love most about you, is that despite your amazing success, you seem so humble and close to your fans, never ever change your own. And I still remember the video you made for one of your fans' birthday. You are really unique. That's what they call me around here.
Man, your head's getting big.
I know. But what do they call me around here?
Piece unique.
They call me around
Damn
Piece
sure.
Unique. I appreciate the kind words. I always do. Okay, so this is actually a really good question. I buy and sell several watches every year. Every single operation I make is with the same dealer. The problem is, if you can tell it such, is that we have become very close friends all over time. Why is this a problem? Well, there are some watches that I sell to him which I know I can make more profit if I sell it to another dealer. But I make it cheaper because of our friendship. In return, he also sells me pieces cheaper in comparison to the market prices because he makes me a close friend price. Is this balance? Difficult to tell. Have you had this problem? What do you do when you have to sell something to a friend? Do you put aside your friendship? Do you think we should end our commercial relationship and just be friends and find another dealer?
That's a really good question.
I'll tell you what, I think both of us can answer this based on our own experiences,
yeah.
right? The way I look at it is that, look, this is the guy, I go to dinner with 3 times a year, and our kids all play together, and we're kind of like family and really, really close friends. I'd rather just give it to him at cost and call it a day. Besides, and that's really, really close friends. The second part is when you become friends with your clients, which me and you run into or have ran into over the years many times over. And personally, what I do, and you guys know who you are watching this, I will give you a price that's under market every single time. Is it because we're kind of become friends? Yes, that's part of it, but also the fact that you keep coming back over and over and over buying stuff, right? I'd rather make 10% less or 5% less and continue making my existing clients happy. And as a result, 62.4% of our business last year was return clients.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely agree with a lot of what you say there. I found that people that I become closer with, it does become quite difficult sometimes to separate the business from friendships. But what I like to do is, of course, because we're in a business, I sell them or I treat them the best I can, with at the same time taking care of our company, because as a friend, they understand that we're here to make money.
Would you agree if I said to Alex that no, he should not end his commercial relationship?
Plus, Alejandro is not in the business per se, right? So if you're in the business, obviously the idea is to maximize as much profit as you can for your company, for your family, this, that, and the third. But if this is like a secondary thing, you collect watches, you enjoy them, you flip them, you make some money, I would keep that relationship. The worst thing that can happen is if you get to that point where you feel like, okay, I'm selling him too cheap, I'm gonna go elsewhere, and then get burned. You're gonna feel really bad about that.
How about what he's saying here, right? In return, he also sells me pieces cheaper in comparison to the market because he makes me a close friend deal. Is this balance difficult to tell? Well, if you're into watches, you know it's going to be very easy to tell that if you bring him a richer meal that you bought 2 years ago that has now tripled in price, and he still wants to buy it, for 10-20% more than what he sold it to, let's say 3 years ago, you're gonna know. And I'm sure this dealer's not stupid; he wouldn't do that to you. What I often do in cases like this is just had a client call us on Baby Nadal. Today you see a couple online for $235, way too high. Real market $200, right? Guy sees a thing on Chrono 24. I'd like to get 200. So you do understand prices on Chrono inflated. A couple of these guys don't even have them. So long story short, the market price is 200. You're welcome to put it on Chrono 24 yourself. They're going to charge you 14%. You're going to end up netting 172. I offered the guy 180. I try not to be an ass about it, right? And I know he paid $90,000 for the watch.
Yeah, that's our business. That's his business.
Exactly, that's his business. Yeah. I'm happy that he makes $90,000. Yep. As long as I can buy for 180 and sell it for 190, 195, I'm happy. And that's kind of how we go about it. And you can keep an eye on that. So we agreed that he should not sever his commercial relationship with him.
Don't sever. I'm
exactly.
I'm a big fan of keeping relationships are the most important thing in business and in life. Period.
So fans have been asking about the Rolex sizing kit behind this and what's in the studio and so on and so forth. So you guys, when we first set up the studio and we talked about it, you guys said, oh, Roman just took a bunch of garbage from his office. Well, contrary to all belief, a lot of the stuff is not garbage, and I don't know how we can zoom in on some of this stuff, but
there's a sizing kit right
there's
there.
a Rolex sizing kit.
Next to the bottle of 42.
There's the Rolex sizing kit, which...
This is all Roman. I stay away from anything that has to do with tools.
Okay, so this is a factory Rolex sizing tool. Okay, this is something you guys can go out and find on the internet yourself. Right, this will allow you to size the bracelet. This will allow you to change the links. And honestly, the screwdrivers in my office are pretty beat up. I'm probably going to take it back. You have a pair of tweezers here, some extra heads for the screwdrivers, some picks, and so on and so forth. Really not that big a deal. Honestly, I bought this just because it looks cool, just the way it is. All right, so some of the other stuff, right? A lingy boat. A lot of people think that this is something that came with the car, but a lingy, due to the fact that it's right there. Audemars Piguet being a big sponsor in that boat race, the dealers and boutiques got these sometimes, and they did give them to people with the purchase of either carbon, rose gold, or platinum lingy. I happen to have gotten one of those. We have a lot of clocks, probably 50 or 60 hanging around the office. I have a few hanging in my house just the same, but I also like a lot of table clocks I've been collecting over the years. A lot of Cartier table clocks. This one, circa 50s or 60s, I don't remember. Just a cool looking clock. Patek, that's a quartz Patek clock. Up there, if we slide down here, we have a Jaeger clock. Sort of looks like a Cartier mystery clock, but it's not. That's a Jaeger clock. Slide over here, some of the books. You guys know that I wrote a preface for one of these books. The Patek, Nautilus, and Aquanaut book, that's actually made especially for me. It says it so on the inside. Giorgio Mondani made one of these for me. Oh. Give me that crystal skull. That's what we want to look at.
What to put in a bottle laden with such symbology and iconographic value?
So
No, I'm talking about Richard Mille.
Oh no, zoom in on this guy. So there's a company out there called Verviers, right? And I don't want to give you a spoiler alert. They will be in my studio showing off their later products. This was a prototype that they made. This is a piece unique, made in 2014 that was given to me by Edward, one of the owners of the company. And they've come a long way since. They've been in movies. They've created wonderful products. But this was given to me as a gift about 7 years ago by one of the co-founders. And we will have them on the show, guys. It's going to be a fun episode.
That's sick.
And you will see some really cool stuff. This is like probably going to be the least coolest thing you'll see by these guys. Let's put that back. Oh, by the way, we still have those 3 little bottles that we tasted. Is that like for us to have a flashback?
Yeah, absolutely.
Up there, we actually did order that barrel. So we're going to get barrel number
29?
29 made. Next to it is Ulysses Nardine barometer. You can't really see it on the inside there, but take my word for it, that's a barometer. Let's quickly switch to this side. Outside of all the liquor that we brought in here, how about this guy? A vintage Patek Philippe. Oh, it's actually a Patek Philippe Genève sign, because if you can see, the E is missing. This is from an old dealer sign. This is probably 50 or 60 years old. It's translucent,
Oh, that's pretty dope.
which is really cool. Which is why we have it up here. Oh, here's a good one. How about a tiny little AP handbag?
That's pretty cool.
that actually came as a box for a watch. And if I can get this open, you guys will see what I'm talking about. I don't even remember what watch this was. This was an older model for sure, but this is kind of cool. Speaking of boxes,
Shaq.
kind of show off the basketball. This is a box that the Shaquille O'Neal limited edition watch came in from Audemars Piguet. Let's throw this sucker back.
It's about as close to sports as a Roman will get.
Hey, come on now. I have some knowledge. You'll see around the studio there are various cigar boxes everywhere, because Cuban cigar boxes that I've held on to over the years, and they just make for great props. Alcohol, what else? Oh, there's a old display clock, this old display from an Audemars dealer that actually sat up on a shelf somewhere, and there were some watches displayed on there. Once they switched out the displays, I thought that was pretty cool, and I just took it from a friend of mine. Outside of that, just other miscellaneous tchotchkes to sort of fill in the space to make it feel warm and fuzzy, manly, if you will, and match the episode of Watches and Whiskey. If you guys remember when we started, the studio was kind of bland, and we decided to do a complete switcheroo. So, moving on to things this is good, Adrian. Things I know that I wish I knew when I first started in the business. Go.
Things that I wish I knew when I first started in this business.
Mind you, and I guess this goes on to the next topic of how we know each other, so maybe I should start there, and then you can answer the question.
Okay.
All right, so my business partner, Gary, i.e. Adrian's father. If you put them two side by side, you can easily tell that they're father and son.
Much better looking, this guy.
You guys are fucking identical. All right.
You want to call him in here?
No, let's not. What are you doing here? I don't want to make movies. I don't make movies.
I think we should call him in here.
No, let's not. So his dad and Alex, his father's partner, were A&G Jewelers, and then later we all combined and made one company, and we're all under one roof, Luxury Bazaar. Guys, told you the story before. Here comes a 17-year-old kid,
Probably younger.
or 16-year-old kid, Adrian, who. What's the proper?
Careful with your next words.
What's the proper way to describe? It was a bit of a fuck up, I guess, would be a good way to describe it, right?
Wasn't making the best decisions.
He wasn't making his best decision in his life, you know.
Yeah.
He was supposed to go to college, didn't really.
Hey, I did go to college. And actually a really good
Well,
student, too.
he did go to college. That didn't work out too well, but again, irrelevant to the point. So he calls me up. He's like, "Listen," he's like, "I'm gonna need you to take Adrian on his wing, because he won't listen to me. Hopefully, he'll listen to you and make something of himself." Kind of deal. Is that pretty accurate?
Yeah.
I guess it ended a couple of years later where I almost killed Adrian. He pissed me off so much. I think after that it kind of went uphill.
No regrets. Cheers.
After that it kind of went uphill. So I've said it to him. I've said it to his father. He's like a little brother, and the relationship we have is sort of a love-hate relationship, because we do argue a lot because we're very different. But at the same token, Adrian is just not an employee here. If you know what I mean, it's a lot closer than that. It's a lot closer ties than that. Which brings me to my next question.
Yes.
Knowing what you know today,
Yeah.
what would you do differently when you first started in this business?
I never saw a Richard Mille.
That's not even fair. That's just
Until
everybody
today.
would say that.
I mean, the obvious is where we are in the market today with prices, and like it's easy to say back then, like if I knew that this Rolex is going to trade for this or this is going to trade for that, that's too easy of an answer. What I wish I knew today is if there's anything I could change, I think I would change the way I approach social media in the beginning, because I think that I entered the social media realm a little bit too late. And I wasn't aggressive enough.
I feel the same.
You know, I feel like if I caught Instagram exactly when it was coming on, I feel like my following would have been much bigger. So that's what I wish I knew. So essentially, I wish I knew the power of social media and where that would take me ahead of time.
For me, it's very simple. I wish I bought Bitcoin in 2011. I think $5 worth today is worth $40 quadrillion or something, right? But no. There are quite a few things that I look back, and it's funny that you guys put this. It's funny that the team put this on here because this is something I actually constantly think about. But I don't think about it. Oh, I wish I bought a lottery ticket. Oh, I wish I bought Bitcoin. I think about it as like, well, if I would have done that differently, what would have happened, right?
Yeah.
Where would I be today? And I take note of that, and then I try to make those changes in real life time in order to switch things around for the better, improve on processes and things of that nature within the company as I'm running the company. But when it comes to watches specifically, there's one thing that I did in the very beginning, this is before I was partners with your dad, is I actually put away Rolexes. You remember? And then I had a vintage collection of Rolexes of 30, 40 Phillips pieces. I sold them at the peak. But what I did do is I did that once. Let's say you take $20 out of your pocket on a weekly basis, right? And you throw it in the back of the closet somewhere and forget about them. And you wake up a few years later and you have a bunch of 20s in there. You didn't feel that at the very moment. It didn't mess with your cash flow, whatever it might be.
Or affect your style of life or anything like that.
So it was the same thing. But then I stopped. When the prices started climbing, I stopped because then it became, a same watch I bought, let's say 6 months ago, all of a sudden is 30% or 40% more. It's not as appealing to put away, right? What I wish I did is I jumped around and continued that madness for the next 10 years, jumping around different brands, different realms, not just vintage, some of the modern stuff and things of that nature, where I feel like today, in a market like this, it's not about the money, right? Because in a market like this, where we have a shortage of goods, when you have 10 clients that call you and said, I want this and I cannot deliver, that is the worst thing you can do. Forget the price, right? If I can't deliver something, now imagine if I did this for 10 years, right? I could still sell them throughout once the market hits peak on certain things. But imagine if I did that for 10, 15 years in a row without stopping. And when I get to a point like this where I simply have to deliver, but I can't because I don't have it, that would be super clutch right now, both financially and as far as saving face and saying, I'm the big badass that has all these watches. Now, we know a guy in the business that does that. And he's got plenty of inventory to sell today in the hottest.
I'm a little bit confused here. Are you talking about on a personal level or on a business level?
On a business level. On a business level.
I would.
Inventory reserve.
I still think that over time, all those watches that you collected, and let's say you had in stock, first off, it's a very speculative move because a lot of things they would have put aside, you don't know for sure where they're going to be 10 years from now.
But I have a pretty good idea. I mean, everything I've put away, I made a ton of money on. I quadrupled my money on every single one of those pieces I put away.
But you put away very specific vintage Rolex stuff.
Right, but I could have done the same for Patek. I could have put away a 3710 Power Reserve Nautilus for $12,000. I could have put away a 5711 for $15,000.
Yeah, but how many pieces like that could you have actually gathered?
One a month.
Hindsight's 20.
One a month.
Hindsight's 2020. You could have put a $12,000.
I just dead stopped.
But you didn't know where a 3800 that we just sold, right? Let's say for $25,000.
They're already 38,000.
I'm sorry. Which one did we? The naked one that we bought last week.
Right. We sold it for 32.
No, we didn't.
Yeah, we did.
No, we didn't.
I sold it.
No, we didn't. It was not 32. Whatever. Sub 30. Years ago, when it was $12,000, how the hell?
12?
Yeah.
How about 3?
Okay, whatever. How the hell could you have predicted that 10 years from now it would be? There's no logical reasoning.
The same way
for that watch.
The same way I treat a stock portfolio. Facebook, Google, Tesla, Amazon stocks. I equate them to brands. Patek, Audemars, Rolex, Richard Mille.
Way more.
What?
The compounding of returns that you would have got in those stocks is way more than Patek, Richard Mille, and Rolex.
But again, we're talking about walking into a business.
Yes.
Taking once a month an amount of money which is the equivalent to $20 that you don't feel like
we're in
putting
the
away.
business. The amount of times that you could have turned that money from the watches that you put aside, I still believe.
Okay, I'll give you a different one. I'll give you a different one.
The value of the watch.
I'll give you a different. If I can go back to about 12 years, 13 years, where I kind of let go of the retail side, I got heavy into wholesale, where 85% of our business was wholesale, and that's how we ran up to be a $100 million company a year. If I knew what I know today, I would put those efforts more into retail and do a lot less wholesale.
Okay, so we're talking about this from a very, very theoretical point of view, right? Because if you go back 10 years, and even if you go back 10 years, right, and if you do the math and be like, okay, this Patek that was $10,000 at the time in 10 years is going to be $100,000, right? 10 times your money in 10 years. I still think that if you took
you're missing the value of me having these goods, and because imagine that in the last 15 years I collected 400 or 500 watches.
It's a very speculative approach.
But now imagine me having that inventory. Showing it to the world that I have it and nobody else does. There's no people out there that have that type of inventory right now, and everybody's short on inventory.
Well, what I'm saying is the amount from you selling that watch when you first had it instead of putting it away, the amount of times that piece, that watch has made you money over the 10 years is more than you would have been able to sell that watch for today.
Right, but the value is not, monetarily, I'll agree with you 100%.
Okay.
Monetarily, that makes sense. I talked about this when I talked about the limited offers. I took the titanium Montoya from 17,000 to 40.
What exactly are we talking about here?
We're talking about
business standpoint.
I'm talking about waking up today, 10 years later, going in the back. I know guys like that, going back in my safe and finding 500 pieces that not only have gone up in value tremendously, but at the same token, me actually physically having them. But as far as speculating, I'll tell you one thing. Among 500 pieces, listen, we have the knowledge. If I told you today, Adrian, put away 10 pieces, you know exactly what you would put away. But it's having those watches. And among those 500 pieces, I guarantee there's going to be one star that's just a complete breakout. How about, I don't know. I had a RM11 Felipe Massa. What's the green one? What's the edition? The Le Mans. I've owned that watch for $32,000. How much is it today?
It's $215.
How about I had an RM001 Tourbillon that I owned under $100,000? What's the price for that watch?
So essentially, you wish
name your price.
You wish okay. This is a very specific basis, which I brought first and foremost in the beginning. I wish I knew what Richard Mille prices were going to be.
I think we're beating a dead horse, guys. You comment below and tell us what you think. Next topic.
Okay, so essentially, I wish I had a crystal ball when I first started. Fair?
Well, I don't need to be in the watch business if I had that.
Very true also. Cheers to that.
All right. Last segment on here is trivia. The boys play trivia. Nick hosts the game. Every question you get wrong, take a shot. Guys put up $1,000 each. Winner takes all.
What do I got? I got 5.
I'll let you borrow some.
20, 30, 35, 37, 38. About 538 in here.
I tell you what, I'll go blind, because I'm gonna smoke you on this.
How much we going on here?
I don't know.
These are blinds?
I'm gonna go blind. I don't know. I have more than 1,000 here.
Fine,
so put up your entire stack with your little. But I don't know what you got. I'm gonna put up mine. Let's go.
All right, first question.
Jerry Springer.
Who makes the most complicated wristwatch?
Patek Philippe.
So, is it A, Lang & Son?
I
B.
answered the question.
Okay, that's your answer. I'm gonna wait for multiple minutes. So you jumped the gun.
B, Patek Philippe, or C, Vacheron Constantin?
The answer is C, Vacheron Constantin.
That's bullshit. What? It has more complications than a.
Well, let's find out. Can we find out from the judge? And the answer is
C, Vacheron Constantin.
take a shot.
Which one? The quad the whatever?
The what?
Quad the E
No,
or whatever?
no, it's their Grand Comp.
More than Patek?
It's more complicated than the Patek Grand Comp. Take a shot.
I don't believe that.
Take a shot.
Google that.
Take a shot.
All right, moving right along.
See, you're impatient. I waited for the multiple choice. I knew it was Vacheron, but you hit Patek.
You should have said.
You might want to wait till the end of the question.
First off, time out. I did not know this was multiple choice.
Now you do.
No, I didn't.
Now you do.
No, I do.
Moving right along. What does the term Rolex mean? A,
The answer is nothing. Rolex means absolutely nothing. It was made as a name that would just roll off the tongue. It is not named after anybody. It's not anybody's last name.
that is correct.
Take a shot.
I'm gonna say no one takes a shot on that because I couldn't get the words out.
You know,
Let's both take a shot.
I really shot myself in the foot here, throwing up money and taking shots. If I knew this was about watches, I thought this was about trivia about anything. How'd I know this was about watches?
Have you not been in the watch business for the last 10 years? Plus? More?
Well, if you want to talk about market,
Hey, I'm gonna smoke them. Let's just keep going.
True or false? The Royal Oak was the first luxury sports watch made of steel.
True.
That is correct.
Take a shot.
wait, wait, hold on. What do you mean sports watch?
It was the first luxury sports watch made. When was it made? What year?
1972.
All right. At least we got that. By who?
Joe.
Okay, at least we got that. Take a half a shot.
All right, multiple choice. What brand created the first tourbillon watch?
Brigade.
Woo! I know that's true. I'm gonna take a shot.
Wristwatch.
Oh, wristwatch.
Is it A, Omega, B, Breguet, or C, Timex?
Brigade.
Brigade.
It is true that Breguet created the first turb, but Omega was the first watch or company to put it into a wristwatch.
That's right.
Really?
It was the one that was in the center.
Yep.
The one and only mother Omega Turpion.
Take a shot. Take a shot.
What year was Vacheron founded?
1755.
1861.
Well, it was A, 1755.
How do you know that? Why do you know that?
Vacheron Constant is the longest running company out there.
Why do you know that, though? Why do you know that?
Because I'm a watch geek.
Fucking nerd.
Another multiple choice question.
I'm just gonna have to move this over here. Because
If,
we don't know where this is going.
The most expensive Rolex was sold for A, 10 million, B, 17.
Hold on, you hit the buzzer. What's the answer? No, go ahead.
Is it B, 17.8 million, or C, 30 million?
B, 17.
That is correct.
All right. Wow, one. Thank you.
You know you straight up guessed.
No, I
straight
didn't.
up.
That's the one that went. That was the Paul Newman that went in auction.
That's right. You're
Come
right.
on now.
All right, another multiple choice.
What's the tally? 1-6.
This is mine.
What company created the first perpetual calendar wristwatch?
I'm gonna
Wait for the multiple choice.
Okay, you gotta go first, Pine.
First perpetual calendar.
Yes, you hit the buzzer. I'm gonna give you a hit. My favorite brand?
Audemars Piguet?
It's actually not correct.
Oh! See, now give me the multiple choice.
Is it A, Audemars Piguet, which we know is not correct, B, Vacheron,
Vacheron.
or
B.
C, Patek Philippe?
B. Vacheron.
It was actually
Costume.
Patek Philippe.
It was Patek Philippe.
And the reference was...
What the hell was Vacheron doing since 1755?
Not making perpetual calendars.
Making a lot of watches. What else you got?
All right, true or false? Rolex was originally started as a company in London, England.
False.
Roman, take a shot.
Yes, I knew
They started in London?
It's a British. Yeah.
So it is a British brand. They moved to Switzerland to add more, notoriety to the
Yes,
brand.
I just
did
busted
know
my...
that.
I think I just busted my nut. Can we get a buzzer next time, by the way? Because let's go.
All right, which watch did James Cameron take to the bottom of the Bermuda Trench in
Deep
2012?
Sea, Rolex.
I'll wait for the multiple choice.
Is it A, Omega Seamaster, B, G-Shock Mudmaster, or C, Rolex Deep Sea
Rolex
Challenge?
Deep Sea.
I'm gonna go with what he said.
That is
G-Shock.
correct. It was the Rolex Deep Sea Challenge.
Anybody? I think I'm catching up. Anybody tallying around here? 3, 2.
It's 3-6.
How many questions do we
I
got?
just want to know how much money you have here.
Got 2 more questions.
$500. All right, that's what you should do. What do you got? 2 more questions? This is your chance not to. So he lost.
We have a double or nothing coming up.
Sure. We can, if he wins this one, we'll give him a double or nothing.
Before the name Royal Oak was selected, AP was going with the name Safari. True or false?
False.
True.
Fuck. Really?
Wait, you don't have any whiskey?
That is correct. Before Royal Oak was selected, Audemars was going to name the watch Safari.
The Audemars Piguet Safari. Well, they have the Safari.
Can you imagine that? Yo, you got that new Blue Dial Safari? All right, last question. So I'm up 7-3. I'm gonna make this worth 4 points, Adrian. So at least you can get your money back of a break even.
What do you know that I don't know?
I have no idea. I don't want to take your money.
What's up that for you?
This is a modern question, and it's multiple choice.
Modern.
So you should be good on this.
How many colors is the new Oyster Perpetual come out in? How many colors the new Oyster Perpetual come out in?
Go ahead.
6.
5.
Both of you were wrong. 8.
Hold on.
What?
White. Oh wait, I forgot the black. White.
Oh, you
blue,
count white and black, but
Yeah,
they
of
had
course.
oyster perpetuals in white and black.
Not the
though.
new ones. So white,
Wait,
black,
wait.
green, yellow,
saying-
red,
are we saying-
Tiffany.
Are we saying new
Like
dial
the-
or total?
Total. The new
But they
release
came out
of
with the
Oyster
new models
Perpetual.
with the white and black dial and the blue dial.
Yeah, but they had oyster perpetual. He said oyster perpetual in what dial variation?
I tell you what, let's call it a tie here. Take your money back. I don't want your money.
No. Come on, man.
I win. Anyway, guys, I'm simply glad that we didn't start this game before we started the episode. That this is the last thing to do. Guys, real quick announcement, right? So what we don't want to happen is we don't want Watches of Whiskey to get stale. So we try to switch up the content differently every single episode. We don't want to do a video reaction every episode. Yes, we do want to show you watches. Yeah, we are going to answer a couple of your questions that you guys may have emailed either to me or Adrian, right? But at the same token, we would love to welcome your input in regards to what you want to see either discussed on the show, what you want to see shown on this show. If it's another drinking game, then it's another drinking game.
Cheers.
Which, as you can see,
Oh,
neither of us is mine. But
Every time we take a shot, I seem to finish, and you always have something in your cup.
I'm older
Every
and smarter.
single time, man.
Older and smarter. So with that said, email us. Email Adrian, email me. Maybe that will make it for a better show.
What do you
So-
say, what do you say on the next episode? We just let the community decide what we talk about.
we can
No
do that.
content, no nothing. Let's just see. Just get a whole bunch of requests or emails.
I mean, I have
to-
probably 150,000 questions that I can go through. That
No, forget about the questions. Just
But
like
just
what-
ideas, right?
Yeah, ideas. Yeah.
Only thing, guys, you have to keep in mind, a lot of times you guys ask me to show certain things. Yeah, we do carry quite a lot of stock here, right? So we have a lot of watches that we can actually physically show, but it's a timing thing. So if you ask me to look at a particular Richard Mille or particular AP, I may not necessarily have that in stock. I may or I may not, so those are kind of difficult. But everything else from challenges to games to history to nuts and bolts to whatever you guys want us to discuss, we'll be more than happy to oblige. So maybe we can make what would we call that? We'd call that like a fan episode, maybe? You know, only for fans, or what's
OnlyFans.
Fan submission.
OnlyFans.com.
No, not that. So, guys, email us. Email me, email Adrian. Give me those ideas so maybe we can do a fans only.
OnlyFans.
No, a fans only type of episode. I don't know what your mind is, but half a bottle. Okay, never mind. So, guys, other than that, as always, like button, subscribe button, share button, notification bell, all those wonderful things that you guys do to help this channel grow. We greatly appreciate you, and we'll see you guys next week.
Cheers.